Good morning, guys. So, even though we aren't going anywhere as of now, it is fun to just sometimes do our makeup or our nails just so that we can have some type of artistic outlet. It becomes something that you can turn into a hobby or that you can perfect while you're at home. And thinking about our middle school age group, I know it's not something that you wear all the time. It might be just for special occasions or whenever you're allowed to. But as you get older, it might become something that you really enjoy. I know my love for makeup started when I was in middle school, when I only was allowed to wear eyeliner or some type of lip gloss. But it eventually became something that I loved and I wanted to do as a career. And it didn't turn into my full career. Who knows down the line, but as of now, it is something that I do as a second job and it's something that I do as a hobby. And in our situation, when we're stuck at home, it's something that we can do and easily just wipe off. So today we're gonna practice something that is more on the natural side. I'll show you guys some things that you can use in your age, some things that you can get at the drugstore. So the difference between drugstore and high-end makeup is drugstore stuff is makeup that you can get at CVS, at Rite Aid, Walgreens, and then high-end stuff is more stores like Ulta, Sephora. It's a little bit more on the pricey side. And it's also stuff that you guys might not start using right now. I know I didn't. I used to just get my stuff from Walgreens or CVS. And I'll show you guys different options that you're able to use. So this is something that I might do just on a regular. And I'll show you ways that you can kind of enhance it. And we'll go from there. So the first step of any makeup look is to moisturize. So I have this moisturizer right here, and I just get this from, I don't know if you can see, Target. And it's just kind of like the Aveeno moisturizer, and you can get any moisturizer that you like. You also have to find out what kind of skin you have. So if you feel like your skin is super dry, you don't want to get a heavy, thick moisturizer. You do want to get a heavy, thick moisturizer, sorry. If you feel like you have super oily skin and you don't want to put anything too heavy on it, you still want to moisturize. You would just get something that is not so thick and heavy. Aveeno brand, Cetaphil brands, those are good for acne control, oil control, and if you have sensitive skin or eczema. My cousin, she has eczema and she uses all Aveeno stuff. She can't really afford to use anything else because it harms her skin because she has such sensitive skin. So moisturizing is super important. You can also moisturize under your eyes, which at your guys' age is not super necessary, but I use this Clinique one, and it's just an extra step of moisturizing, especially if you have really dry skin. So I have my mirror over here, that's why I'm looking over here. Alright. So now what I'm going to do is my eyebrows. Now people do their makeup in different orders and it's up to you how you want to do it. I find it easier to do my eyebrows first so I could kind of do everything else around it. Eyebrows are a super personal thing. You need to look at the shape of your eyebrows and kind of determine how you want them to look. And everybody likes it their own way. So if you like super thick brows, then you can do that. If you prefer them thin, maybe you don't want to fill them in at all. So I use an angled brush. So if you look, it has a slight angle to it, and this is just easier to get the right shape for my eyebrows. I'm also going to use this NYX Cosmetics brow pomade. So this, again, you can get at CVS or Target or anything like that, and it's not super expensive. So I'm just going to take my brush, dip it in there, and what I like to do first is just outline. So just like you would if you were drawing a picture, you just want to start creating an outline shape of your brows. So start at the top and basically trace what is already there. And then go into the bottom. And again, just trace that shape. So it looks a little bit crazy right now. We're going to then just lightly fill it in. So take whatever you have left on there and just fill that shape in. All right, and then just repeat the same on the other side. So trace the bottom and then trace the top. Now I have a tip for cleaning this up if you feel like it got a little bit too crazy, which I know I can do all the time. If you're feeling like it's a lot thicker than you wanted, this is a super quick way to clean them up. So you're going to take a concealer. So I use this Maybelline one. Again, I think I got this at Walmart. And just take a little dot to the back of your hand. And you want to take some type of flat brush. So the tip of this is rounded, but it is flat. So I'm just going to put that on the brush. And again, we're going to do a tracing technique. So you're going to trace the bottom, and this will help you clean up if you put too much product, if you feel like you still have some hairs that are showing through that you don't want. And then you're going to trace the top. And kind of connect it down. You can also do a little bit on the front. I wouldn't recommend too much on the front because then it makes it too obvious. And then you can just use your finger and kind of blend that out. Blend it up. And the concealer that I would use is a little bit lighter than my skin. And this helps to cover better. Not super light, just maybe a shade lighter. And if you can see it now, don't worry about it because we're going to cover that back up. So again, just kind of tracing where I want to cover up that extra product that I put. And then again, just using our fingers to blend it out. Now the goal is for your eyebrows, this is a quote that I always hear, is for your eyebrows to be sisters, not twins. Our faces are not perfectly symmetrical. Everything doesn't look exactly even, but our goal is to just try to make it as even as possible, and don't stress yourself out if it doesn't come out completely even. So the next thing that we are going to do, actually before we move on, I always like to put a little bit of chapstick just as we move on. Okay, so the next thing that I normally do is put some type of primer. Now primer helps your foundation go on nice, it helps your concealer go on nice, it helps you not to get oily. So if you have problems with that, this is a good thing to kind of prove that. So the one I'm going to use is a Smashbox one. This is the only high-end thing that I'm going to be using today because I do not have a drugstore one, but you can find a primer in any Maybelline, Milani, L'Oreal. They all have their own version of this. So you just want to take a tiny bit of this, just tiny bit, and dot it on the parts where you feel like you need some oil control. Normally our T-zone is the spot that we get the most oil. So they call it your T-zone because it's right down the center of your face and across your forehead, sometimes even on your cheeks. Okay. So once that's on there, You can choose to use foundation next. I'm not going to use foundation on this look today because I want to show you guys a more natural, quick look that you're able to do. But if you are going to use foundation, I know some of you guys at this age are not allowed to use it. I wasn't allowed to use it in middle school. But what you can replace it with is a BB cream. So a BB cream is kind of like a lotion with a little bit of color. So it's a moisturizer for your face, but it has some color in it, so it gives you a tiny bit of extra coverage. This is normally the one I use in the summer so that I don't put anything heavy on my face, or if I don't want to put a ton of makeup on that day. This is a Maybelline one, again, a drugstore one, and I like this one a lot. It comes in a couple of shades so you can decide which one you need. So since I'm not going to use that today, what I'm going to do is use my beauty blender or beauty sponge. You can use these dry, but I recommend that you use them wet because they get really puffy and soft. So I'm just going to wet mine a little bit, and I have a spot over here. And that helps it just to get bigger and softer, and it's easier to blend your makeup in. So while that kind of sets for a second, I'm going to go in with my concealer. Again, this is Maybelline, and you can get this at any drugstore. And I'm just going to put this on the spots of my face that I feel like need some brightening. So I normally put like a triangle shape underneath my eyes. A little bit on my chin. Will look like a clown for a little bit. A little bit on my forehead. And then sometimes just like that. Now again, you guys don't have to do this if it's too much or you're not allowed to wear that much. It's fine. These are just some of the extra steps I take. Now I mixed in a little bit of a darker one on the sides because it'll set us up for the contouring that we want to do later. So we'll just go and blend that. And you want to blend it all the way. So into your forehead. This part is probably the part that takes the longest because you want to make sure that you're blending everywhere. This is also the time for you to blend out any extra concealer that you may have on your eyebrows, on the tops and the bottoms. And this is definitely the step that you want to take your time with. So don't worry if you feel like it looks too light or it's not the right color. It's always safer to make it a little bit darker than it is to try to lighten it up. Okay. Blend it down your neck and even around your ears so that you make sure you don't miss any spots. So, an extra step again that I'm going to take that you don't necessarily have to is I'm going to add a darker concealer. So you can tell this is a couple shades darker than me. And just put this on any hollows of my face. So if you kind of suck in your lips like a fish, you see this space here, that's where you would add that. You can also add it around your forehead. So this is basically called the perimeter of your face. A little bit of math in here. It's the outline of your face. So This is the part where you naturally would have like a shadow. And then I'm going to go in and blend that, and you see it helps to warm up your face as well. Okay. So once you are satisfied with your blending and you feel like everything is blended out, I right away like to put powder to kind of seal everything in. I know some people wait until the end. I feel like that lets too many creases in, so I'm going to use this palette, which again I got at Rite Aid, and I'm just going to take a color that pretty much matches my skin tone and a fluffy brush, and I'm just going to begin patting to set all of that cream that we use. So most of the products that we use right now have been cream products. They're wet products. We're going to use some powder over them. And you want to use a patting motion instead of kind of like brushing it, because this helps to set it better and it doesn't drag the cream and move it in places that you don't want it. And since we're setting everything, that darker color that I put on the outside, we're also going to set that. So I'm going to take a shade that is darker again, and we're just going to set that very lightly because I'm going to go back in with an actual bronzer. Again, around the perimeter of the face. Okay. So, I lied earlier. I said I was only using one high-end product, but I have one more. And this is a Kylie Jenner palette, which you can't really tell. I've used it a lot. But it's a highlighter and bronzer and a blush. So we have this darker color, which is a bronzer. These go on the perimeters of your face. We have a blush, which goes on the apples of your cheek. And then highlighters, which will go on the high points of your cheeks. And we'll go through each of those so you guys can see how to apply those. Again, this is a step that you don't have to do on a regular basis. It might just be fun to try now, but I'll also show you how to apply it in case you want to practice with it. It's not something that I would say you have to use every day. So I'm going to take the angled brush on the other side. It's an angled brush again. This helps you to get inside of those hollows. I'm going to take the bronzer shade. So I'll show you here. And just pat it a little bit and then tap off the excess. And we're going to go again into those hollows. And then on the perimeter. Okay. Now for blush, you want a more fluffier brush, but you don't want it to be too fluffy because you don't want it to get everywhere. So blush is kind of a very personal thing. Again, it's something that you have to decide, how much do I want, how little do I want. So I'm going to take this brush that is kind of flat, but it's fluffy at the same time. Just going to tap off excess, and I'm going to lightly tap it in there. Just very light. Tap off the excess. And when you smile, these parts right here are called the apples of your cheek. You want to just pat it and go up. And that's where you want your blush to sit. So smile, pat it, and move up. And I just like to do a tiny bit of that. And then the last step of this palette, at least, to kind of show you guys how it's used, is some highlighters. So I actually have a different brush that I use for that. And again, you guys don't have to use this many brushes or the number of brushes that I have. I've been collecting these for years, but if you're just starting off, you can just alternate. I would recommend that you definitely get at least one fluffy brush and an angled brush, and that'll kind of set you up for this beginning. So I have this kind of fluffy brush, and if you notice, it's flattened, and this is good for highlighters. So again, you just want to choose a highlighter that's a little bit lighter but not white, because this is to highlight the tops of your cheekbones, and if you just have a really harsh white line, it's not going to do the job. So this color is like a cream champagne shade, and this is a little bit darker, so I'm just gonna mix these colors. And again, if you feel there's a bone at the top, and that is where you want to put that highlighter. And if you notice, it'll give you a little bit of a glow, make your skin look very healthy. And I even like to put a little bit right on the bone that's under your eyebrow. And then to take it a step further, which I like to do, put a little on the tip of your nose, down your nose, and on your cupid's bow. So that's that. And then pretty much the last step that I would do for every day is just some mascara. Again, L'Oreal mascara. I love this mascara. This is the Voluminous Lash Paradise. And then an eyelash curler, which again is optional. My eyelashes are super straight, so I always curl them. But feel free to skip this step if you're scared, or if you don't know how to use this. This takes practice as well. It can be a little bit intimidating. So I'm just going to go and curl them. And I put the mascara as soon as I'm done curling one eyelash so that it stays up. Okay. And you can already see how that lifts your eye up. That's the goal of mascara, is to kind of open your eyes up by lifting your lashes. So it kind of creates this illusion that you have bigger eyes. I know in my case, if I am only going to wear one makeup product, it's normally mascara, because it can really kind of make a look for you. Alright. And this is an optional thing that you guys can also do if you're starting off, if you're actually going to wear this out, because we're going to try some more fun looks later on. I'm going to take an eyeshadow primer. This is from Wet n Wild. And you just take a tiny little dot of this. Mine is kind of running out. So a tiny bit, and put that on your eyelids. And this helps your eyeshadow not to get creased if you have some oil on your lids, or if you have creased eyelids. This helps it to kind of stay. What I'm going to do is, going back to this bronzer, you can use whatever bronzer that you have. I'm going to take a kind of fluffy brush. So it's just super fluffy. I'm going to take that same color, and this will tie everything together, and I'm just going to brush that all over my lid. And when you get to, if you look up in your eye and you see where your eye folds, you want to do windshield wiper motion. So if you think of the windshield wipers on a car, back and forth, and this brush, since it's fluffy, will do the work for you. And it basically just distributes that color evenly, and it's just one color. If you are lighter in complexion, you can use a lighter shade. I got a little bit of mascara under. And this kind of just ties everything together. So my bronzer is pretty close to my complexion. So it kind of matches the eyelids, and it doesn't look like I have a lot of color. It just helps to contour your eyes and add a little bit of color. And what you can also do if you feel like you don't like that it's just a matte skin complexion color, you can go back into your highlighters and take, again, kind of a flat brush, mix them, and put that on the center of your lid. So shimmery colors, you don't want to put all over. You just want to put them on the center because shimmer is where the light gets drawn. So you don't want the light to go to the crease of your eye. Remember that fold, because it closes your eye in and you want it to look more open. I'm just going to go back with the fluffy brush so I can blend that all together. And the key thing that I can tell you guys for any look that you're going to do, whether it's something like this where it's super simple, or when we get into more intense looks, is to blend, blend, blend. Anything you're going to do, blend it out. That's the best way that you can avoid colors not mixing well, or even your foundation or whatever, that from not mixing well. So I think that is pretty much it for today, just to do something quick and easy. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And maybe later on we can try some more eyeshadow looks with more colors and things like that.